All right, doing a little bit of I guess not a little bit of a lot of it of a solo episode today. My partner, David Taylor, is celebrating his 40th wedding anniversary today. So here I am by myself, and that's actually okay because we are doing a bit of a rebrand. Some of the feedback that we've been gathering from everybody is you guys should talk more about QSR. You guys should discuss more fast food topics, because no matter what we talked about on previous episodes, it always came back to work and what we do, right? So I'm going to talk about that. In fact, we even rebranded the entire show. It's no longer Artistic Warrior, although I still have that on my head. Now it's Fast Food Fast Track. And the reason for that is because one, because of the feedback, and then two, because it's something that we are both very passionate about. It's our hedgehog, and we can talk about that on another episode. But today's episode, we're talking about how how above restaurant leaders micromanage RGMs and what to do about it. Now, this to me is just such a conundrum because fast food is starving for leaders, but micromanagers are eating them alive. And so that can lead to obviously feeling stuck and even quiet quitting, resent, burnout, all of that stuff. And it's really sort of silly because if someone is the GM of that restaurant, shouldn't they be trusted to lead it? Right? Now, take it from me. If you are somebody who suffers and is burned out because of micromanagement, I've been where you're at. And despite that, I've actually been able to have a lot of success in both Subway and Taco Bell. Those of you who know a little bit about me, was able to go from a sandwich artist to a senior district manager with the Subway brand in just 17 months. And not even being a year in to the company that I work for now, which is a Taco Bell franchisee, I've overseen 2 locations and have turned them around, going from red stores to green in terms of metrics in just 28 days. And I was actually able to turn my first location into a training store in just 8 periods. So that's shorter than 8 months. So I feel uniquely qualified to talk about this, and more than that, morally obligated to share some of the lessons that I've learned, because fast food fast-tracked my dreams, right? It let me become a professional football player. It led me to becoming a published author. And since this industry redeemed me, I want to have it redeem as many others who want redemption, whatever that might look like for you, right? So some of the things that I want to talk about today, and this is going to be a shorter episode since it's just me and there's not going to be so much pontification happening, although there might be, we'll see. How above restaurant leaders micromanage restaurant general managers and what to do about it. So here's how they do it. One, they are going to question every single thing that you do. It's the most annoying thing on the planet. Case in point, a couple of days ago, this was the night before we got our truck. We typically get our truck wee hours of the morning, sometimes early the next day. But I had to rein in one of my shift leads, and he's fantastic. But he was led astray by one of our above restaurant leaders who told him to buy more product. Now, that was a claim to fame that I had with the Subway brand, because with Subway, the margins are far, 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 far thinner and much tighter than with Taco Bell. So I made a name for myself in cost of goods. My labor and cost of goods were in line. Now, if you're in the industry or if you've been an above restaurant leader like I have, you know some of the numbers side of things, right? 30, 30, 30. 30% food, 30% labor, 30% fixed costs. Now, all 16 of my units at Subway came in at or under prime, which is considered 55% combined food and labor. right? So cost of goods was something that I really hung my hat on with the Subway brand. And I'm a little prideful, I would say. I take a lot of pride in being able to control cost of goods. And so I have a formula of how I divvy out our budgets for our trucks to my shift leads, because I don't order trucks. And I had given my team the budget for this past period, and then our above restaurant leader told him to make sure that he orders more for the new promotion that we got going on. And when that happened, we were like $2,000 over budget on our truck, which is a problem for somebody who takes pride in controlling those costs. And so then to alleviate that money bleed, for lack of a better word, my shift lead went a little bit lighter on the next truck. And while we were starting to run out of product, because I was working a late mid, so I was there until like midnight one night. And so we're starting to run out of product, and people are panicking, and I'm just like, guys, everything's cool. It's all good. But we get our truck in a couple of hours. Like, this actually means that we actually did a pretty good job with the truck, right? Because you don't want to have an overabundance of product, right? And so when you start running out just as the truck is starting to come, right before the truck's starting to come, you're in a pretty good spot. And so around 11, midnight, we're starting to run out of things like, or be in our last bag of fried products like nuggets, fries, lettuce, things like that. And so I had to go on to the back end on the company website, the control center, and just start toggling items off as the night went on from digital orders. And then I had an email the next day from our above restaurant leader questioning why everything was turned off. Why was everything turned off? So that's one way they do it. They will question every single thing that you do, and I'm sure that you might be nodding your head and smiling, knowing if you've been in that situation. So that's one thing that they definitely do, is they question everything that you do. Number two is, and this is probably the most annoying piece for me, is they treat everything like an emergency. Every single thing is an emergency. From any e-learning that needs to be done, from new hire minor paperwork that needs to be submitted to HR, to running out of product hours before getting a truck, the store not having enough closers. I mean, everything is an emergency. And again, the way that I framed it for my people when I was in the store and above the store, it's just like, hey, guys, we're making subs, right? We're not trying to hack into the mainframe of the Pentagon. We're not trying to cure the common cold. We're making food, for God's sakes. Like, let's just put things into perspective, right? So treating everything like an emergency, and that can burn you out if you're not in tune enough to know that, hey, that's just a micromanager doing what a micromanager does, which is overreact about every single thing. And then lastly, they think that everything is important, and that's such a huge mistake. You can't believe the amount of times that I have been in meetings where I have heard above restaurant leaders tell their RGMs that everything is important. Well, I have news for you. If everything is important, nothing is important. You can't have more than one priority. I actually talk about it in my book. Let's see if I can find that actual page and read it to you, because, yeah, right here. So priority, and I took this from the book Essentialism. So the word priority came into the English language in the 1400s. It was singular. It meant the very first or prior thing. It stayed singular for the next 500 years. Only in the 1900s did we pluralize the term and start talking about priorities. Logically, we reasoned that by changing the word, we could somehow bend reality. Somehow, we would now be able to have multiple first things. People and companies routinely try to do just that. One leader told me of this experience in a company that talked of priority 1, priority 2, priority 3, priority 4, priority 5. This gave the impression of many things being the priority, but actually meant nothing was. Because when everything's important, nothing is. So those are the 3 biggies when it comes to how above restaurant leaders micromanage their RGMs. Now, I'm going to equip you with the one thing that will fix everything. What do you do about it? If you pay attention, and another really good book is called On Intelligence. It was actually by the guy, written by the guy who invented the Palm Pilot, if you guys are old enough to remember what those are. And he talked about intelligence just coming down to pattern recognition. So what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? If you pay attention to what your above restaurant leader, district manager, area coach, whatever the nomenclature is for the concept that you work in, if you pay attention to him or her, their actions, what they talk about, what they post in your group chats, you will understand sooner rather than later what the actual priority is. And then you go after that thing. So what am I talking about? Well, with the company that I'm in, we can talk about complaints. We can talk about perfect reviews. We can talk about e-learning. We can talk about cost of goods. We can talk about development. We can talk about P&L. But the one thing that we get hit over the head with every single day are the metrics. Now, metrics might mean different things to different people and different concepts and different companies. So, like I mentioned earlier, metrics for Subway were very simple. Food and labor. That was it. Those were our metrics. Those were our KPIs, our key performance indicators. Those were our OBNs, objective by number, right? Metrics with Taco Bell primarily come down to the amount of people that you develop, i.e. the amount of managers on your staff, your speed with service, i.e. how fast you can cars through the drive-through, right? And so on and so forth. And so once I was in position back in August, so what, 9-10 months ago, something like that, once I realized what the priority was, because when you get put in position initially in a concept like this, I'm assuming it's similar for other drive-through concepts, everything can feel important, right? And you're getting a lot of things thrown at you. Go after the one thing that fixes everything. And if you pay attention to your ARL, he or she will tell you based on the pattern that you're recognizing them repeat over time. And for me, once I realized, oh, okay, so that scoreboard right there, the metrics, that's what's most important to you. Everything else kind of falls by the wayside. And that's exactly what happened. When I went into position on August 13th of 2025, my store was all red. We weren't hitting labor. We were not hitting overall speed. We were not hitting food waste. We were not hitting front counter speed. And we were not hitting after 5 drive-through speed. We were all red on everything. And after 2 weeks in, I was thinking like, okay, this is ridiculous. I can't chase all of these things. And then I focused on one thing, and that was speed. That's it. Speed in this game, fast food, fast track, right? Speed is the tide that raises all ships. If you take care of speed, if you go all in on your team being fast, decreasing the time it takes for a car to get from the menu to pulling away from your window, you will have an abundance of success and you will get your ARL to get off your ass if they're micromanaging the living shit out of you. That is a fact. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Because here's the thing, here's what happens when you go after speed. If speed increases, The amount of transactions per day part increases. If the amount of transactions per day part increases, your sales increase. If your sales increase, well, now you're starting to outsell all of your problems. If you are making more money, well, then your cost of goods are going to be easier to control. The amount of food that you can actually waste more food because you're making more money. So the amount of food that is wasted, you don't feel it as much on the number side. When you are making more money, you will have more labor to deploy. When you have more labor to deploy, now you go from skeleton crew to being fully staffed. And when you're fully staffed, then morale goes up. And morale is profit, as my partner David Taylor would say. And when you have a higher morale, well, then what's going to happen? You're going to start having fun on your shifts, because being number one on the leaderboard is more fun than fun is fun. Being green instead of red is more fun than fun is fun. When you have a good morale on your team, you're going to deliver a better customer service. When you deliver a better customer service, well, then you're going to start getting a better reputation from the above restaurant leaders. And when you start having a better reputation from the above restaurant leaders, you're going to start to become trusted. And when you are trusted, you're going to stop being micromanaged. Or if you're still being micromanaged, you can just ignore them because you know what the priority is. Case in point, the other night when I got that email that was saying, hey, why did we turn all these products off? I didn't respond. Why? Because I know that they know they can trust me because I can deliver the results. And what are the results? The metrics. Because I know that's the priority, because I have paid attention long enough to know from my ARLs that that is the priority. And then when I knock that out of the park, everything else just doesn't seem to be as important. You know why? Because that is the case. Because when everything's important, nothing is important. And this game is built around speed. And so if you can go all in on one thing that will change everything, I'm telling you guys, it is speed. So, to recap, fast food is starving for leadership. Leaders like you. Micromanagement might be eating you alive. They're questioning everything that you do. They're making everything feel like an emergency. And they think that everything is a priority. To hell with all of that. Perform. Pay attention to what the priority is, and then go all in on that. And if you're in a true fast food drive-through concept, it's probably going to be around speed. It's probably going to be around speed. Okay? Now, here's what I want you to do. That is just one of 3 things that you can do to go from RGM to a trusted leader in just 28 days, even if you're being micromanaged. And I have a gift that I'd like to give to you. You won't know those 3 things unless you download the gift. And that is that 28-day playbook. I will put it in the show notes. You can also find it at huntercharneski.com. Download that playbook so you can go from being an RGM to a trusted leader in just 28 days, even under micromanagement. And if you need more resources, be sure to buy my physical book, The Way Out of Self-Sabotage into Self-Mastery. Give this episode a 5-star review. Share it with your friends. And again, be sure to download that resource. It's free. The only thing it costs you is an email address. Again, that's the playbook that's going to help you go from RGM to trusted leader in just 28 days, even if you're being micromanaged. That's all I got for you guys today.